Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special episode of Uncanny Treks as we continue our coverage of the Hickman Avengers run. We are now on what was the original Avengers Volume 5. That's Adjectiveless Avengers Volume 5, Adapt or Die. That's collecting issues 24 through 28 of the Adjectiveless Avengers series by John Hickman. I am Bob in Cascadia. That is Matt in the Southland. Matt, how you doing this evening?
Doing pretty well, Bob. Man, that's a lot of Avengers we got going on here, but not as much action this time around per se, I have to say.
Yeah, we're on the fallout from Infinity, which we covered last week. This first issue we're going to talk about here with the art by Assad Ribic, issue number 24, Rogue Planet. It's got some action and scale in it, but it's more fallout.
Hickman created such high stakes in the last arc. Even at the end of it, I was, how is he going to top this? And you can see things building in the background, but this is build up to something much bigger that's going to happen down the road.
In both this episode and then the episode we're going to record right after this on New Avengers Volume 3, the original trade, New Avengers Volume 3, Other Worlds, which is issues 13 through 17 of that series, he responds, he went epic cosmic scale with Infinity, and so the response in this trade and in that New Avengers trade is to go multiversal, right? And to have a bunch of different versions of the superheroes running around.
It gets more crazy as you go. I feel the Fantastic Four run did the exact same thing.
When the scale gets too big, you just respond by alternating focus.
To another large scale, yeah, it's crazy.
Before we get into talking about the specific issues, I did just want to give us a quick rundown of our two artists for this collection, Matt. So issue number 24 we're about to talk about is by Assad Ribic. You've seen his art from the second arc of Rick Remender's Uncanny X-Force, Deathlock Nation. I don't know if it seemed familiar to you.
Oh, it did for sure, yes. Yeah.
He did a run with Jason Aaron on Thor that introduced Gore, the God Butcher. So he's famous for that. And then he did a run with Kieran Gillen on Eternals that I rather like as well. Ribic is Croatian. And then we have Sal LaRocca, and you've seen his art before, mainly with the Matt Fraction run on Invincible Iron Man.
Yeah, that was a fun run.
It wasn't really to my taste.
You didn't like it, but I enjoyed it.
You liked it a lot more than me. And LaRocca is doing 25, 26, 27, and 28. And the other thing people might know LaRocca from is he drew a lot of Chris Claremont's later X-Men comics, which are not the best. Extreme X-Men. I don't know if you remember that title from the early 21st century.
That's Extreme guys with an X.
Yeah, X-Treme. Also, I did not know this comic existed until I was looking at Sal LaRocca's bibliography on Wikipedia, Matt, but he apparently drew an exclusive to Marvel.com comic in 2009 that was Eminem versus the Punisher.
But you got me reading Punisher versus Batman, Predator versus Archie, but you don't have me reading Eminem versus Punisher.
Well, Matt, in fairness, I literally just learned of this yesterday. But if you want, I will see if we can run down a copy.
I'm looking at it right now. It's interesting, yeah. Got some nice alternate covers.
We'll start our coverage of Punisher as
Yeah.
we begin with Punisher.
There you go.
Shall we begin with issue number 24, Rogue Planet?
Sure, Bob. So with Rogue Planet, Iron Man's granddaughter, Rhodey, comes from the future to warn them of a planet hurtling at the Earth like a bullet. They phase the planet into the Earth, making it a power source for the world.
Which, on the one hand, when, Matt, you read that apt summary, it makes this sound super, super epic. Which, on one hand, it is a planet being fired at Earth like a gun. But on the other hand, I take your point that it's this big problem dealt with quickly.
Yeah.
Just as the fallout from Infinity.
Our Avengers have seen this before. They can fix this. We already have a solution. I was never really worried the whole time they're going to make it. I also knew that was going to be an Iron Man future.
You called it. We begin in the far future. I don't know how it works out that she's his granddaughter, but it's the year 3000, basically, 1,000 years in the future. I think this is the same future, at least a similar future that we saw at the end of Hickman's Fantastic Four run, where we have a double Baxter Building future. And in this future, we have adult Franklin Richards, who's pretty similar to the guy we saw in Hickman's Fantastic Four run. And he's chilling with the guy who seems to be the ancient Mandarin.
It's him.
That's the situation from which Rhodey, and at first they tease it, and you think it might just be Jim Rhodes. But like you said, it turns out to be Iron Man's granddaughter, Rhodey. while all this is going on, we have a party going. So we have Sunspot driving golf balls off the top of Avengers Tower. It's a race to see if Hawkeye or Starbrand can destroy the golf balls first.
That's some weird shot put type thing.
Shot put thing or clay pigeons. But Sunspot is saying that the winner will win a Ferrari from his company. I do have to ask, Matt, are you more nervous about Hawkeye driving a Ferrari or are you more nervous about Starbrand driving a Ferrari? Both seem pretty dangerous to me.
Did we find out who won?
I don't think we did.
We're going to have to look closely as the comics continue. Maybe we'll see one of them in a Ferrari and we can say, oh, yeah. I know how he got that.
I'm deeply upset by the idea of either of them driving. The other thing we get in the hang time, the chill time in this issue is we get Grill Master Thor. So my favorite panel was on page 11. Really, it was two different panels. We both see Grill Master Thor admit that he was bested by the lobster. He could not cook a lobster. He couldn't grill it. And we also see him perplexed by Smasher and Cannonball's desire for the hot dogs.
Yep, they love some hot dogs. He finds them disgusting, but he loves some hot dogs.
He admires their bravery in eating it, but he is disgusted.
He will provide them with 2 dogs each, Bob. 2 dogs each.
That's the correct number of dogs. So, Matt, does this party vaguely remind you of all the chill out time in Avengers 2 Age of Ultron movie?
It does have that same feel to it, although the characters are so different. You've got Captain Universe and Cannonball, people you never see in the MCU.
I think this predates that. I do somewhat wonder if this was, not that this was mildly influential on all the party scenes. That are basically the only thing I remember from Age of Ultron.
It could be. Of course, they were also trying to focus more on Iron Man's drinking at that time, right? If I remember correctly. I don't know. Right. It all runs together. That could also be Iron Man 2. I don't know.
No way to know, Matt. No way to know. While the party's going on, we have Captain America and Iron Man being serious and making plans, and we learn that Captain America is firing Wolverine from the Avengers, and he might be firing Superior Spider-Man as well.
He said Wolverine's too busy, and I'm like, yeah, he probably is. He's running a school at this time, too. Wolverine was everywhere around this time.
He was everywhere, and I think this is also the era where his healing factor was starting to overload. That's what Cap is referring to.
We could totally take that Watchmen meme and make a Wolverine thing. It's 1996, Wolverine's everywhere. It's 2006, Wolverine's everywhere. It's 2000.
Well, we thought Wolverine was everywhere in 96. We had no idea how much more everywhere he could get.
We could put him on every team all the time.
Matt, what was your favorite panel in issue number 24?
My favorite panel, Bob, was the Incredible Hulk on page 26. They are launching him at the rogue planet, and he's got on rocket boots and this armor. I thought it looked really cool.
It is a good look. That's the armor he was wearing. I think in his solo book at this time, he was Hulk Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh.
That armor was what he had in that solo book, too. It's an interesting look. I'm a little surprised. I picked a different panel that I thought you would go with as your favorite, but I would have assumed if you'd gone with a Hulk panel, I thought you would have gone with Hulk loaded down with pies at Thor's command, bringing in the pies for Captain Universe.
He has a ton of pies, lots of pies. Pies that you can think of. Just imagine Hulk carrying pies and multiply that by 20.
We see Spider-Woman and Captain Marvel satisfied by Thor's beer pies and surprised that they enjoyed the beer pies as much as they did.
Bob, at the end of this issue, it's alluded that people are going to want to kill Tony Stark soon. They're going to murder him. I'm guessing something bad happens. And I'm also going to assume it has something to do with the Illuminati.
I think it's just the Illuminati secrets coming out, and we already see that at the end of this collection. Shall we jump ahead to issue number 25, Carve a Hole, Climb Inside?
Carve a Hole and Climb Inside, Bob, issue 25. So, AIM manages to pull a group of classic yet evil Avengers from a portal, and S.H.I.E.L.D. attempts to frame the real Avengers.
My favorite panel here on page 14 of this issue number 25. I'm not picking this to be a hog, because this is the sexy splash page of the classic yet evil Avengers, as you so aptly put it. But I'm not picking it for that. I'm picking it because randomly Ant-Man is holding a bow across his shoulders like he's Gambit in a 90s X-Men group shot. And it amuses me, the side of 60s Ant-Man posing like 90s Gambit. That cracks me up. I also wanted to just point out that the lettering of, I think it's when Maria Hill says Avengers, it's the old school lettering of the Avengers logo in her word balloon. I thought that was cool. I'm going with the big sexy splash page, but not because it's the big sexy splash page.
Also want to point out that we never actually see Ant-Man use that bow staff on anything.
No, and it might not even be a bow. It might just be like a random pipe from his lab or something.
A barb or something, because the Hulk
Yeah,
has some piece of machinery too.
this was your favorite page too, Matt. Was it your favorite page for the reasons I said, or were you just taken in by the sexy splashiness of
I
it?
look cool. Honestly, that's what it boils down to. Or we got original Avengers here. The Iron Man suit. That's the one that
I,
sticks out the most to me.
I'm not a big Sal LaRocca fan. I respect him. I'm not here to diss him, but he's not one of my personal favorite artists. But I reread this Avengers trade before rereading the New Avengers trade, and I'm not really here to diss on Simone Bianchi and New Avengers, but Simone Bianchi's art in New Avengers is much less to my taste than Sal LaRocca. Now coming back to look at the Sal LaRocca after reading the Simone Bianchi, I'd have to give it up to LaRocca.
At the end of this issue, Shield is accusing the actual Avengers of causing destruction because after Ant-Man apparently dies, the evil Thor, he starts killing people and wants to take over the world. So that becomes a problem, and they think it's the actual Thor, and they confront the real Avengers. That's how the issue ends.
We have the reveal. I think it's around the time that the classic Thor, the evil Thor, gets angry that people aren't kneeling to him. He calls down the lightning to terrify them. Moving ahead, Matt, to issue number 26, Look Around, No Way Out. What goes down there?
Bob, AIM builds Adaptoids to take out the evil Avengers, and evil Bruce Banner's Hulk form was controlled by the team after a lobotomy. Those are the two big things. The AIM building the Adaptoids happens before the events of the last issue, but after it's revealed that the evil Avengers are on Earth.
The timeline in these issues gets fractured. My guess about your favorite panel would have been on page 9, where we see one of the Adaptoids who's a hybrid of Spider-Man, Captain America, and Thor. I thought that might be your favorite panel.
It was pretty cool, I have to admit that. I did like the design of these Adaptoid things. They're a conglomeration of all the Avengers. And it's neat to see where they combine stuff. But by the end of it, they give up on that gimmick, but it was cool for a minute.
Another one that I thought was cool is a combination of Black Widow, Smasher, and Hyperion. And to jump ahead, which is in the spirit of these issues, right? We see that Black Widow, Smasher, Hyperion Adaptoid breaking the evil Ant-Man's neck, which then explains the opening of this arc where we saw the evil Ant. We didn't know it was the evil Ant-Man yet, but we saw a classic Ant-Man's corpse with a broken neck. My other favorite panel in this comic was slightly before that on page 13, where we get the reveal that you were alluding to, that I don't think we knew they took turns yet, but at this point it was just evil Wasp controlling evil Hulk. And I assumed that might be the default. Since Wasp is the weakest member, it makes sense for her to control the most powerful member. But as Banner explains in a later issue to our Tony Stark, it's no, they take turns.
I would be scared. This does lead to my favorite panel, which was on page 14, where Banner realizing how much it sucks that he's had this lobotomy and that he's under this control. I'm going to put quotations, the evil Banner walks away from the entire situation and says, forget this.
It does seem, in fairness to this Banner, it does seem, although he's being really cruelly used, it does seem like he's plenty evil on his own. I got the impression from his later conversation with Tony Stark that he was already a sociopath before they lobotomized him. He was already a part of the evil Avengers.
So was the plan to lobotomize him so he wouldn't be the Hulk anymore? Then they said, oh, wait, we can control this.
The plan was probably always just to control him.
This is an interesting story, and somebody needs to go back and write this. I think it would be pretty good.
On the one hand, it sounds interesting. On the other hand, you could be, well, maybe Morrison already did this for the Justice League Earth 2 graphic novel. I don't remember the Justice League Earth 2 having anything analogous to how Hickman has the evil Avengers treating Hulk here. The issue number 27, that's Only Dirt, 6 feet deep. What goes down there?
In issue 27, the Avengers take on the evil Avengers. And we have a back and forth, too, between the Bruce Banners. We have the evil Bruce Banner meeting the Bruce Banner of the Earth that we're following.
That's a bit the climax. It's not a bad issue, but none of the Avengers on Avengers violence really sucked me in. There's been a lot of AIM stuff going on throughout these issues that we really haven't talked that much about, because, I mean, it's AIM. How much is there to say about it? But my favorite panel did involve AIM in this issue. It's on page 12, where you have the Scientist Supreme bemoaning before he executes some failed AIM henchmen that he brought them from the backwaters of Harvard to AIM Island. And he's, why did I ever do that?
That was my favorite panel as well, but you're not going to top that in this issue.
My guess was that your favorite panel would be the revelation on page 17 that evil Iron Man is actually Jarvis, that Jarvis killed Tony Stark and took over the Iron Man.
I thought it was going to be Obadiah Stane. He said,
Uh,
"I'm a monger," and then he pulled the mask off, and it was Jarvis.
that was something for clarity's sake. We're just calling them like Evil Hulk, Evil Wasp, Evil Thor, etc. But I did catch that. I guess it's Thor is actually spelled with two R's in this version,
Right.
which I also think they did when they created the evil clone of Thor in Civil War. I think that's how they distinguished him, as they spelled it Thor with two R's. And then this is not Iron Man, but it's Ironmonger. Like you say, it's not the usual guy who's Ironmonger. It's Jarvis instead of Stain.
And it's not
Then
Captain America, Bob. It's
It's
not
General America.
General America.
There is a pretty funny panel in one of these issues where I think Carol Kane, Captain Marvel, is poking at Captain America. Doesn't that make you a little sore?
It's on page 19.
Nice, nice. Did you catch if Hulk, Wasp, or Ant-Man have different names? I didn't catch if they did.
I did not.
I do feel like the need to apologize because there is a preview for All New Invaders #1 in this comic. So it's a double-sized comic, and you read the whole thing. I'm sorry. I should have said don't read the whole thing. Shall we talk about our last issue in this collection, which is number 28, called Case? On the cover, there's a random appearance by Wolverine, even though I don't think he's in any of these issues. And Cap explicitly said in issue 24 that he plans on firing him.
In Case, Bob, Bruce Banner confronts Tony Stark about everything going on, and he joins the Illuminati.
The tension throughout this issue, Matt, is that Bruce Banner comes into this meeting with Tony Stark with a case. And so the tension is what's in Bruce Banner's case. And then it's not till page 18, which was my favorite panel, that we get the revelation that actually what's in the case is tranquilizers, because Banner is so irritated about this. He knows that he's going to Hulk out, but he wants to get as much information from Tony as he can before he hulks out.
He gets the information, and he's not happy about it, but it just leads to him joining the Illuminati.
Indeed, indeed, which was a good swerve, Matt. It's a good swerve. My guess at your favorite panel was the last page, which on the one hand, we already knew at some point in Infinity, Black Bolt's brother, Maximus the Mad, knew what the Illuminati was up to and started participating in it. And so here we have both Bruce Banner and Maximus the Mad as members of the Illuminati, even though I don't think they're going to show up in the cast page in the new Avengers trade we're going to look at for the most part.
My favorite panel was on page 20, because you have a split panel between Tony and Banner at the bottom that I feel is one of the connections we have to the other thing we're covering this week. The New Avengers Volume 3, Otherworlds.
The reason we wanted to talk about and release this one first is because this issue sets up Banner joining the Illuminati, which is already the case in the last issue of New Avengers we're going to talk about this week.
That dual panel piece where you see the head split in two, or their faces split down the middle, you see that throughout the entire New Avengers Otherworlds volume.
That's a good point.
That was the only connection I was able to make.
Sal LaRocca does a good job of drawing the tension. It's good acting on
You have several pages of just two people sitting across each other from a table, and you can make it interesting. You're doing pretty good.
It winds up with Bruce Banner being a part of it, which is a cool twist. Matt, did you have any overall thoughts about where we're at with Hickman's adjectiveless Avengers? Or I wanted to ask, did you prefer the first two trades, that pre-Infinity era, or did you prefer the second two trades, the Infinity era, or do you prefer this post-Infinity era more of adjectiveless Avengers?
I prefer the early era more so. I liked all the world building they were doing with the newer characters and everything. If you are going to tackle reading Hickman, this is one of those things you have to start at the beginning and work your way through. You're not just going to be able to pick up an issue or two and catch on.
The crazy thing is they were marketing issue number 24 as a jumping on point.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I guess, but why?
I don't know why you would. You would be so lost with things. I'm going to wait till the end to Judge's run completely, like in its entirety, but as of right now, I really did enjoy the early era, and I liked a lot of the Infinity era type stuff. This volume we just finished, I'm not going to say it's not the strongest volume, but I feel like, once again, we're coming off some incredible event with Infinity.
Curious what you think about the next volume of Adjectiveless Avengers. I remember being pretty fond of it, but it's a very peculiarly Hickman thing. It's pretty similar to what some stuff he does towards the end of Fantastic Four. One thing to just put on you and the listeners' radar is the question of, and we're far away from being able to rank this, but there's potentially two debates about ranking this. Should we rank both Adjectiveless Avengers and New Avengers together, or should we rank them separately, is a little bit of an interesting question. And then there'll also be the question of, this whole run is like building to Secret Wars, but there's a weird way in which this whole run feels to me a different story from Secret Wars. So there's an interesting question of, do we rank this and Secret Wars, or do we rank it separately? Questions to be thinking about as we get towards ranking this.
You can definitely tell the difference between the books themselves. There's a huge difference between New Avengers and adjectiveless Avengers, what the themes are, what you're
Yeah.
focusing on.
There was some distinction between Fantastic Four and Future Foundation when those books were running parallel in the later part of Hickman's Fantastic Four run, but I don't think it was nearly so well defined and it's nearly so well delineated as it is between the Illuminati book and the Adjectiveless Avengers book here.
I agree.
All right, Matt. Well, I think that's good for this week. Any final thoughts about Avengers Volume 5, Adapt or Die?
Well, I look forward to the next volume, Bob.
All right, listeners, we're going to keep on rolling on this Hickman thing. Might be the only Avengers comics we're ever going to do, so we got to make it count. Join us as we cover New Avengers Volume 3, Other Worlds, and then join us in a week or two as we cover Avengers Volume 6 and New Avengers Volume 4. I'm Bob in Cascadia. That's Matt in the Southland. Have a great night, everyone.
Thanks for listening.